The auctioneer's gavel struck 3 times, and Bowen Trace knew he had made a terrible mistake. Sold. To the human and his offspring for 2,000 credits. Congratulations on purchasing the most worthless plot of land on Frontier 7. Laughter rippled through the crowd of assembled buyers, merchants, land speculators, corporate representatives from a dozen species. They had all passed on Lot 47, the derelict military installation that sat rusting in the northern wastelands. Only a fool would bid on abandoned human military infrastructure that had been silent for 30 years. Only a fool like Bowen Trace, veteran of the border wars, and his 16-year-old daughter Nyla. "Father," Nyla whispered, gripping his arm. "Everyone is staring." "Let them stare," Bowen said quietly, though his jaw was tight. "We know what we are doing." A massive Vorthack merchant, 3 meters of scaled muscle and commercial ambition, lumbered over to them as they processed the payment. His name was Kreth, and he dominated the colony's import business. "Tell me, human soldier, why waste credits on a dead facility? The Terran military abandoned that base decades ago. It has no power, no functioning systems, no value whatsoever. Even the salvage rights are worthless. Anything useful was stripped out years ago. Then why do you care what I do with it?" Bowen asked evenly. "I do not. I am simply amused. You spend your last credits on garbage while trying to raise a daughter alone. Very responsible." Nyla's hand tightened on her father's arm, but Bowen's expression did not change. "The auction is over, Merchant Thane. My business is concluded." "Indeed it is. And in 6 months, when you cannot pay taxes on that worthless land, I will buy it for 1/10 of what you paid. Perhaps then I will finally have access to the aquifer beneath it. Your foolish sentimentality will profit me greatly." After Thane waddled away, Nyla looked up at her father with worried eyes. "He is right, father. We spent almost everything we had. If the base really is worthless." "It is not worthless," Bowen said firmly. "Trust me, Nyla. I know what I am doing." "But how can you be sure?" "The military said." "I know what the military said. I also know what they did not say. Now come. We have work to do." The journey to the base took 3 hours by ground transport across terrain that grew progressively more desolate. Other colonists had built farms and settlements in the fertile valleys. The northern wastelands were considered uninhabitable, rocky, barren, swept by harsh winds that carried abrasive dust. The base itself looked exactly as advertised, worthless. A cluster of prefabricated structures, now pitted and corroded. A landing pad cracked by decades of thermal expansion. Blast doors sealed with rust and time. The whole installation looked like a corpse of humanity's brief military presence on this world. "It looks dead," Nyla said as they approached. "It looks exactly how it is supposed to look," Bowen corrected. "That is the whole point." He parked the transport and led her to the main entrance, a massive blast door covered in oxidation and weathering. There was no visible control panel, no obvious way to open it. Most people would have assumed it was permanently sealed. Bowen pulled a small device from his pocket, something that looked like an old military identification tag. He pressed it against a section of the door that looked no different from any other part of the corroded surface. Nothing happened. Nyla waited. The wind howled around them, carrying grit that stung exposed skin. Her father stood perfectly still, his hand pressed against the door, his expression patient. "Father, I do not think." A sound interrupted her. Deep. Mechanical. The groan of systems that had not moved in decades suddenly coming to life. The rust on the blast door cracked and fell away in sheets as hidden seams began to glow with faint blue light. "Authorization confirmed," a synthesized voice announced. "Welcome back, Colonel Trace. It has been 32 years, 4 months, and 17 days since your last access." The doors began to open. Nyla stared in shock as the massive blast doors, each one weighing several tons, swung inward with smooth precision. Beyond them, lights flickered on in sequence, revealing a corridor that looked nothing like the decrepit exterior. "This is impossible," she breathed. The merchant said everything was stripped out. that there was no power. How is this? The merchant does not know everything, Bowen said, stepping through the doorway. Very few people do. Come. I have something to show you. The interior of the base was pristine. Clean corridors. Functional lighting. The hum of active life support systems. It was as if the military had left yesterday rather than 3 decades ago. I do not understand, Nyla said as they walked deeper into the facility. Why would they leave all of this functional? Why abandon it? They did not abandon it. They put it on standby. There is a difference. But why? What is this place? Bowen led her through several security checkpoints, each one accepting his authorization without question. Finally, they reached a command center, a large room dominated by holographic displays and control stations, all of which activated as they entered. This facility, Bowen said, his voice taking on the formal tone she associated with his military past, is Frontier Bastion 7. It was built 35 years ago during the border wars as part of the Sentinel network. Do you know what that was? I have heard the name. But history classes say it was just a standard military defensive program. History classes are wrong. Or rather, they are telling a simplified version. The Sentinel network was not defensive. It was insurance. He activated one of the displays, and a galactic map materialized in the air. Scattered across it were dozens of markers, each one representing a planet. During the border wars, humanity fought 5 different species simultaneously. We were outnumbered, outgunned, and losing badly. The Terran government needed a contingency plan. Something that would ensure human civilization survived even if we lost the war completely. The Sentinel network, Nyla said, understanding dawning. Exactly. Facilities like this were built on frontier worlds across human space. Each one was equipped with everything necessary to preserve our species, genetic databases, cultural archives, manufacturing capabilities, defensive systems, and most importantly, weapons that could protect the colonists if enemies came for them after the main fleet was destroyed. But we won the war, Nyla pointed out. The border conflicts ended with negotiated peace. We did. But the facilities remained, just in case. They were put on standby status and their locations were classified. Only certain veterans, officers who had overseen their construction, knew where they were and how to activate them. I was one of those officers. Nyla looked around the command center with new understanding. So this entire base is still operational. All of these systems are functional. They are. And more than that, this base has been monitoring everything that happens on this colony for 3 decades. Every communication. Every ship arrival. Every commercial transaction. Recording it all. He pulled up another display. Including Merchant Thane's conversations with the Vrexian Syndicate about illegal weapons shipments. His plans to monopolize the colony's water supply. His bribes to colonial officials. Everything. Nyla felt her breath catch. Father, that is. Evidence. Documentation of crimes that would get him exiled from this colony and banned from human space entirely. But I am not interested in using it right now. I am showing you because I want you to understand what you are inheriting. Inheriting? Bowen turned to face his daughter fully. Nyla, I am 53 years old. I have served my time. Fought my wars. Raised you alone after your mother died. I am tired. This facility is now yours. Mine? Father, I do not understand. I am 16. I cannot run a military installation. You will not be running it. The systems are automated. But you will be its guardian. Its keeper. And if trouble comes to this colony, you will be the one who can activate its defenses and protect everyone here. Why me? Why not give this to the colonial government? Because governments change. Officials can be corrupted. But family endures. This is your legacy, Nyla. The responsibility that comes with being a trace. We protect people, even when they do not know they need protection. Even when they mock us for it. Before Nyla could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Multiple displays flashed red warnings. Unknown vessels entering system, the base's AI announced. Configuration matches Kreth radar patterns. Estimated arrival at colony, 4 hours. Nyla's blood went cold. Kreth raiders were pirates, vicious, organized, and utterly ruthless. They had not been seen in this sector for years, but their reputation was terrifying. Father. I see it. Bowen's expression had shifted to something hard and professional. AI, tactical assessment. How many ships? 12 vessels detected. Estimated complement, 600 raiders. Colony Defense Force, inadequate to resist. Of course it is, Bowen muttered. The colony has 2 patrol ships and maybe 40 security officers. They will be slaughtered. We have to warn them, Nyla said. We will. But first, let me show you what this facility can actually do. He moved to the central command station and began entering commands with practiced efficiency. All around them, displays activated showing different sections of the base. Bastion 7 was designed to defend against fleet-level threats. It has weapons systems that most current militaries would envy. Point defense grids. Mass driver cannons. Even a small complement of automated fighter drones. It was built to hold off an invasion force until reinforcements could arrive. Then we can fight them, Nyla said. We can. But first, I need to make something very clear. If we activate these weapons, everyone on this colony is going to know this base is functional. The secrecy will be over. People like Merchant Thane will demand explanations. The colonial government will want control. Our quiet life ends the moment I press this button. He looked at his daughter with an expression that was both proud and sad. That is why I am giving you the choice. This is your inheritance. These are your responsibilities now. Do we reveal ourselves and fight, or do we let the colony defend itself with what it has? Nyla thought about Merchant Thane's mocking laughter. About the other colonists who had dismissed her father as washed up and foolish. About how many of them had made their lives harder simply because they could. But she also thought about the shopkeeper who always gave them credit when money was tight. About her teacher who stayed late to help her with chemistry. About the children in her school who had done nothing to deserve having raiders destroy their homes. We fight, she said firmly. People were cruel to us, but that does not mean they deserve to die. Bowen smiled a real smile, full of pride. Good answer. That is exactly what I hoped you would say. Now let me show you how it works. Over the next 3 hours, Bowen walked Nyla through every system in the facility. The weapons required authorization from both of them now. He had added her biometrics to the command structure. The AI responded to her voice commands. She was no longer just a visitor. She was an operator. Contact the colonial governor, Bowen instructed the AI. Emergency military channel. Governor Torval's face appeared on the display, a tired-looking human woman in her 60s who managed the administrative functions of Frontier 7's capital settlement. This is Bastion 7 calling colonial administration. We have detected incoming hostile vessels. Kreth raiders. 12 ships. ETA 2 hours. Torval's exhaustion vanished, replaced by sharp attention. Who is this? Bastion 7 has been abandoned for decades. Apparently not. This is Colonel Bowen Trace, formerly of Terran Military Intelligence. This facility has been on standby status. I am reactivating it under emergency defense protocols. What is your current defensive capability? We have 2 patrol ships and limited ground forces. Against 12 raider vessels, we will not last 30 minutes. Colonel, if what you are saying is true, if that base is still operational, we desperately need your help. You will have it. But Governor, I need you to do something for me. Evacuate the coastal settlements. Get everyone to the capital where we have better lines of defense. And send word to the farming communities to shelter in place. Do not try to run. Raiders will hunt scattered targets. Better to fortify positions. I will begin immediately. Colonel, thank you. If you had not called. I know. Move quickly. Bastion 7 out. The next hour was a flurry of activity. Automated systems throughout the base came fully online for the first time in 3 decades. Weapon platforms rose from concealed positions. Fighter drones were prepped in underground hangars. Defensive shields powered up around critical colony infrastructure. And the colonial governor sent out emergency broadcasts, informing everyone of the threat and the miraculous activation of the old military base. Nyla monitored communications, listening to the chatter of frightened colonists. She heard Merchant Thane's voice, angry and demanding, insisting that the base should have been under his control if it was valuable. Let him talk, Bowen said. After today, his opinion will not matter much. The Kreth raiders arrived exactly on schedule. 12 ships dropped out of faster-than-light transit at the edge of the system and began burning toward the colony at high speed. They were expecting easy prey, a lightly defended frontier world with valuable supplies and captives. What they found instead was a fully active military installation that had been waiting 30 years to fulfill its purpose. Weapons free, Bowen said calmly. AI, you have command of point defense. Nyla and I will handle the primary batteries. Remember your training. I have never done this before, Nyla protested, her hands shaking over the controls. No one is perfect their first time. Just follow the targeting solutions the AI provides. These systems are designed to be intuitive. The first raider ship entered firing range, and Bastion 7 spoke with a voice of thunder. Mass-driver cannons, weapons that accelerated projectiles to significant fractions of lightspeed, opened fire with precision that decades of standby had not diminished. The first raider ship was struck amidships by a tungsten penetrator moving at 40,000 kilometers per second. The kinetic energy alone was equivalent to a small nuclear weapon. The ship disintegrated instantly. 1 down, the AI reported. 11 remaining. The other raiders scattered, trying to present difficult targets while returning fire with plasma weapons and missiles. But Bastion 7 had been designed to fight much more sophisticated enemies. The raiders' weapons were batted aside by point defense systems or absorbed by shields. Meanwhile, human weapons struck with methodical efficiency. Nyla found her rhythm. The targeting AI presented solutions, she confirmed them, and heavy weapons spoke. It was terrifying and exhilarating and deeply satisfying watching pirate ships that had terrorized this sector for years being torn apart by weapons they had no answer for. That is for everyone they ever hurt, she muttered, firing another salvo. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, 11 raider ships were debris fields spreading across the system. The 12th ship, badly damaged and leaking atmosphere, transmitted a desperate surrender. Hold fire, Bowen commanded. AI, transmit surrender terms. They will disembark all personnel and equipment, then set their ship for automated departure from this system. Any resistance will result in immediate destruction. Terms transmitted and accepted, the AI reported. The crisis was over. In the command center, Nyla collapsed into a chair, adrenaline fading and leaving her shaking. Father, we just fought off an entire raider fleet. We did. You did. And you performed admirably. But what happens now? Everyone knows the base is operational. They will want answers. They will want control. Let them want. This facility operates under military charter. It is sovereign Terran military territory, activated under emergency defense protocols. The colonial government has no authority here. Neither do merchants or speculators. But surely someone will try to take it. Let them try. This base has defenses designed to hold off armies. More importantly, it has documentation of every crime, every corrupt transaction, every illegal agreement made on this colony for the past 30 years. Anyone who tries to force the issue will find themselves facing evidence that could end their freedom. Bowen moved to stand beside his daughter, looking at the displays showing the debris fields where the raider ships had been. Do you understand now why I bought this place? Why I spent our money on something everyone called worthless? Because you knew it was not worthless. You knew we might need it. I knew we would need it. Frontier colonies always need protection. And I knew that one day, you would be ready to help provide it. Nyla, you are young. You have your whole life ahead of you. But you are also a trace, and that means something. It means when trouble comes, we stand up. When others are mocked, we endure. When protection is needed, we provide it. He placed a hand on her shoulder. Today, everyone who laughed at us learned what it means to underestimate a trace. Tomorrow, they will remember. And for years to come, this colony will be safer because we were here. 3 days later, Governor Torval held a formal ceremony in the capital. The entire colony was invited to recognize the reactivation of Bastion 7 and thank the Trace family for their defense of the colony. Merchant Thane was conspicuously absent. Nyla had heard he had received a private communication from her father regarding certain business irregularities. He was currently cooperating with colonial authorities to avoid more serious consequences. I would like to recognize Colonel Bowen Trace and his daughter Nyla Trace, Governor Torval announced to the assembled crowd. When pirates threatened our home, when we had no defense, they stood up. They activated a facility that many of us had written off as worthless. They fought when no one else could. This colony owes them a debt we can never fully repay. The crowd applauded. Nyla saw faces of people who had mocked them 3 days ago now looking at them with respect and gratitude. Some even looked ashamed. I do not need their gratitude, Nyla whispered to her father. No. But they need to give it. Let them. It costs you nothing and might teach them something about judging others. After the ceremony, as they walked back to their transport, a young boy ran up to them. He could not have been more than 8 years old. Mr. Trace? I wanted to say thank you. My mama said the bad people would have taken us if you had not stopped them. So thank you. Bowen knelt down to the boy's level. You are welcome, young man. That is what the base is for. To keep people like you safe. Can I be a soldier like you when I grow up? You can be whatever you want. But remember, being a soldier is not about fighting. It is about protecting. Anyone can fight. Only good people can protect others without asking for anything in return. As they drove back to the base that evening, Nyla looked at her father with new understanding. This is what you wanted to teach me all along, is it not? Not how to operate weapons or manage a military facility. But what it means to protect people even when they do not appreciate it. I wanted to teach you both. The technical skills matter. But you are right, the character matters more. You have to be willing to do what is right even when people mock you for it. Even when it costs you everything you have. Even when they do not understand why. Do you think we will need to defend the colony again? Probably. Frontier life is dangerous. But now this world has a guardian. And in a few years, when I am too old to help, it will have you. That gives me more comfort than you can imagine. Nyla thought about the responsibility she had inherited. A military installation. Ancient weapons. The duty to protect thousands of people who lived their lives unaware of the guardian watching over them. It was terrifying and exhilarating and deeply meaningful. I will make you proud, Father. You already have. The moment you chose to fight for people who had been cruel to us, you showed me exactly who you are. Everything else is just details. The base doors closed behind them, sealing them away from the colony they protected. Inside, automated systems continued their endless vigil. Sensors watched the space approaches. Weapons remained ready but silent. Databases continued recording, watching, waiting. And two people, a father and daughter, stood in the command center, looking at displays that showed them everything happening on the world they called home. Welcome to the Sentinel Network, Bowen said quietly. May you never need to use its full power. but may you always be ready if the need arises. Nyla placed her hand on the command console, feeling the slight vibration of active systems beneath her fingers. This was her inheritance. Her responsibility. Her purpose. Let them mock. Let them underestimate. Let them call the base worthless and the trace family fools. They would learn. Everyone eventually learned. Because when the doors opened, everything changed. And sometimes the most valuable things are the ones people cannot see until they desperately need them. That was the lesson of Bastion 7. That was the legacy of the Trace family. And Nyla would spend her life making sure that legacy endured. If you enjoyed the story, like the video and subscribe for more. Thank you.